gotta think they're maybe racist just because I'm mutant, they don't want my help. It seems it doesn't really matter if your superpowers fire to the mouth.
Hello, welcome to End Now Comics. I'm joined this week by a crippled Leo and John Seiler. I'm going to talk a little news. First, I'm going to start by watching. I have not watched the Suicide Squad trailer because it came out while I was working and then I forgot it existed. So,
Connor McGraw, Hunter Davenport, and John Scott came to my house for not liking King Kong, and they fractured my rotator cuff. I want that on record.
Okay, I love the fact that they're in a car and John Cena just has that helmet on.
Oh, yeah. And King Shark's just hanging out in the back seat.
And I feel like we should have all been watching it.
I like that intro part of she's just like, hi.
Yeah. She also has Javelin.
Oh, is that what that is?
Yeah.
Oh, actually makes sense now.
That's also John Ostrander as the doctor that puts the bomb in the skull.
Is he one of the original writers and artists?
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, I just got to when King Shark, then that's Stallone.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, and Polka Dot Man. Oh yeah, I forgot what's his name is in this as the calculator?
The Thinker?
Thinker, okay. I like how schlubby King Shark looks.
Yeah, he looks good.
Well, I like that they went with a different look than what the Flash TV series did, where he's a buff mini kaiju.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of love Cena in this. He's so good as this douchey straight man.
Oh yeah, I think there's a reason why Peacemaker's getting a show.
Yeah.
King Shark ripping people in half.
Yeah. And this girl, that's Ratcatcher too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh shit, Starro.
Yeah.
Got some kaiju in this shit.
Okay. So this...
It looks like a fucking blast, right?
Yeah, this is so James Gunn. It's a perfect thing for him to make. It's doing Guardians, but with shitheads.
Yeah. So I watched this trailer a couple times, because I think you can kind of tell what the movie is at least from this trailer. I think it's you have the first initial team of the Suicide Squad with Captain Boomerang, Mongal, Davidson, Weasel, and TDK, and
Javelin and Harley.
Well, and yeah, I think Harley's probably going to be, and then Savant. I think they go to basically
deal
deal with whatever bullshit's happening in this area, and then they all
get wiped out except for Harley and what's his name?
Well, I think they don't get wiped out, but I think they all get Starroed.
Oh, that would be interesting.
So then they send the secondary, and the Thinker might be there already, but then they send in the secondary team of the Polka Dot Man, King Shark, Bloodsport, the Peacemaker, the Ratcatcher 2 to basically go and get everyone out, you know.
It seems fun. I like how ridiculous that they're leaning into the ridiculous, and again, that's the James Gunn the fact that they're on the bus and you see Idris Elba, and then you just have John Cena who's just still wearing the helmet.
Oh yeah.
I just love the idea he just never takes it off. That makes sense for that character. And you're right, there's obviously a reason why they're immediately all right, that character gets a show. Because
there's a shot of him, I guess when they're gonna rescue Harley Quinn, he's in next to he's somewhere high up, and he's wearing jean shorts and a tank top and his stupid helmet.
Yeah,
and his big ass gun.
He's trying to snipe with his giant handgun.
And I'm just why? I like it though.
But yeah, I think all the costumes look really cool. Everyone looks like they're having it's a trailer, but everyone looks like they're just having a ton of fun. I can't wait for this. This looks great. I wanted to like the first Suicide Squad movie so much, but Will Smith didn't play Bloodshot or Deadshot. He just played Will Smith. They kind of ham-fist the Joker shit that just never takes off. They're fighting this demon god that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Everyone, this is John Ostrander is in the trailer. This is his giant love letter to like 80s Suicide Squad, and it looks like it's just like there's just like so many like DC films, like the Zack Snyder, like not to like hamper on this fucking guy for again, but like there's like so much of Zack Snyder's vision of superheroes that I feel like the last thing he wants to do is do superhero stuff. Like Peacemaker looks like the Peacemaker from the comics, and it shouldn't work. That's a really bad costume, but like it looks so good on John Cena.
Well, because
John Cena is playing it so seriously. It's so.
But that's
well.
why it works. Like it works. You can't play that kind of a character is funny because then it's like it'll come off dumb. But playing it super straight makes it funny, which he's doing perfectly. Which also shows it's great writing and good directing.
This honestly reminds me a lot of like Shazam and Aquaman, and I'm not like a huge a fan of Aquaman, but like
I'm not either. Yeah,
but Aquaman like fucking at least embraces like the comic book aesthetic, and Shazam totally leads into it.
They put him in that orange costume and they make it cool looking.
Yeah, like
that enough is like them doing something.
Like
and that's also James Wan, so like yeah.
And there's like so many, it's like there's like people who are like, oh, like they should bring Zack Snyder in to finish his vision of the Justice League.
No, he's done.
Once the Suicide Squad movie comes out, all that talk would be done. Like it's like this movie would be like King Shark rips a man in half, like
later with just a head in his hand.
Like long ways, he rips a man in half.
Yeah, at least he did it top down, so he died first. It'd been worse if it was bottom up.
And it still feels it's dark and gritty, but it still also feels like a comic book. And it's like, and that's all I want at the end of the day.
Yeah,
like,
well, you don't need to do extra dark and gritty if the characters are like essentially dark and gritty characters. You just need to like they're going to be killing people. That's just going to happen. Like it's kind of like. Sorry, Leo. Go ahead.
No, I have a question. I guess it's more to Starro. Do we think that the Suicide Squad is going to take them down? Because Starro is like a Justice League level villain.
My guess is,
and I know it's dumb, but
Starro will attach to somebody, and like it'll give him like his version of like diarrhea, and that's how they'll win.
What? I know this is far-fetched and dumb, but I feel like
like mental diarrhea. Like he'll attach himself to like. Harley would be too easy, but like somebody else, and like it'll just like break him.
What if like the main Starro? What if the main Starro is not that Starro?
It's a small one.
Yeah, it's like, and they put him in a fucking jar, and they call him Jarro.
I love Jarro though.
I kind of hope that like maybe at the end Justice League comes out. Like for whatever we get, like 2 minutes of like Henry Cavill, Gal Gadot. Ezra Miller.
There's no way any of those people did anything. We would all know about it.
That would be so cool, though.
The only other thing I think of is that if just like Ratcatcher just has like a billion rats attacking at once, and they just eat it, right? It's just like a tsunami of rats.
And I think that's like the other thing I really love about this movie is like that first Justice League movie. Like it's like they have like characters that they like try and like uplift, like El Diablo and Katana, but like at the end of the day, they just or like Killer Croc, but they don't really do like anything with them. And I just feel like this trailer, like here's a really cool part with Idris Elba. Here's a really cool part with Captain Boomerang. Here's a cool part with the Ratcatcher and Polka Dot Man, and it's like everyone like it's like an ensemble cast where I feel like it's like Savant has like his own like 20 seconds, and I guarantee you Savant is not making it in this film. Like Savant is a character that was actually supposed to die like in his first arc that he shows up in the comic, but like fans loved him so much that Gail Simone brought him back. But like also like there's like so much of like Secret Six I feel like that's also like in this trailer. Like there's like going to absolutely be a point in this film where King Shark runs at a guy and yells, "I'm a motherfucking shark," and eats him.
And also they got like the perfect voice, because I kind of love like it seems like of getting Stallone to just play like dumb like juice head kind of like just a dumb guy, but like with the Stallone voice is great.
But yeah, I love like choosing like a lot. Like I don't know who Bloodsport is. I don't know a whole lot about like the Polka Dot Man.
He's like your fifth ranked bad. Like he's below Sportsmaster.
Yeah, and I think that's like really cool for like a movie called The Suicide Squad, because like at the end of the day, it was like that first Suicide Squad movie. You initially were like, oh, I know who's like surviving this film, and I
The
know who's
people whose
dying in
names
this
I
film.
know.
Yeah, but like in this movie, it's like, I mean, like I know the guy who's playing the Polka Dot Man, but he's also at the end of the day playing the Polka Dot Man.
Yeah,
You know?
he's like a half step above Quilt Man.
You know,
Or the Crazy Quilt, that's his name. Which I was gonna say, that's like a good say, because it's David Das Malachian or whatever. The guy who's in like every comic book thing, because he's in Dark Knight. He's like one of the crazy people. He's in Ant-Man and Wasp. He's Baba Yaga.
He tells a story about Baba Yaga, yeah.
Yeah, and then he's also in Flash.
Yesterday.
He's in the Flash TV show as Abracadabra, and he was literally on this week's episode.
I literally like I was like watching this trailer, and I'm like, man, like this, like the guy who plays the Polka Dot Man, like he looks really cool. Like I kind of want to know. Like I know he's in a bunch of other stuff, and I saw that he was in the Flash. I'm like, oh, and he plays Abracadabra. Like that's so cool. And I watched the clip where he like first shows up and he's doing magic tricks in front of the Flash, and like Gypsy shows up. I'm like, oh, like that. They still call you Gypsy in this show? That's unfortunate.
Yeah, that was like a whole thing, and I think I think because they made her. I don't know. They did. I think they killed her off. His second appearance has been really good. He's also in Dune that's coming up.
Because I thought because I was reading his Wikipedia and it sounded like he only shows up for like an episode and dies.
No, he's now in 2 episodes. He was in one like 5 years ago or 4 years ago. Then he was in literally this week's episode.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. And he's like he does the whole like he's from like the 30th century or whatever, and it's interesting.
And like all the future technology he uses, he pretends to be a magician, which is just like, oh, that's like perfect Flash villain.
Yeah. Yeah, he's super fun, and that's fun. But from watching Flash, it's so not there, and comparing it to Superman and Lois, which is still been rocking, and it's so good. And I highly suggest it because they are doing some real interesting things in like the idea of like the Superman mythos that are really fun. And I don't care. Are you either of you watching it or care if I spoil like a thing in it?
Go ahead, because I'll probably forget.
Go ahead.
So one like there's like 2 main antagonists. One is Morgan Edge, like super rich billionaire douchebag. The other one is an alternate.
Wait, that's his name?
Yeah, Morgan Edge. He's a comic book character.
Okay.
The other one is an alternate Earth Lex Luthor, who on his Earth is a good guy and part of like he basically and you can take it as
it's Alexander Luthor.
He doesn't. He says like they haven't said his first name. He's Commander Luthor. That's all we hear from his AI. But he comes from a world where Superman just started taking over and started killing people. Maybe it's a meta commentary on someone else's universe,
or they're just doing injustice.
No, well, it's not. It's just him. He came over and he's trying to kill this Superman so that he won't become that Superman.
Did he kill that Superman?
They aren't saying. Well, all those other worlds disappeared in Crisis. So he's somebody that's like left over from Crisis. That's like, and it's real interesting and like, oh no, it's fun. The guy playing Sam Lane has been in a million things. He's the lead in Congo. He was in Nip Tuck. He's awesome, and you hate him. And it's like the kids are written so well, and they're doing some interesting stuff. I like what they're doing with the town and with Lana, and Lois is like fucking awesome in the show. The kids are so good. But like you watch that, and then you look at the other CW stuff, and you're like, this shit's doomed. Like the production value is insanely different. Like it looks like
a little bit of HBO money.
I think so, but it's similar to the production value, although it's not like it doesn't look the same as like Stargirl did. But like you can tell it has so much more budget, and especially because Flash is doing a storyline I hated, and they're doing it in the show, the Force quest with the other forces, like the Stow Force and the Strength Force, and they showed.
I think I stopped reading before that happened.
Yeah, it's real bad, and like they showed like the Strength Force person, which is what I'm assuming, and it looks like Mortal Kombat Annihilation level DG.
Oh,
Like it looks so, actually it looks like the monsters in what was that stupid Will Smith movie with the not vampires?
I Am Legend.
Yeah, it looks like that but muscly. So like a Goro version of that. Like it looks so bad, and it's just terrible. I guess before we go on to the other, well, we could stay on the DC stuff.
So like one last thing I wanted to say about the Suicide Squad movie is like, I think it's like pretty funny that Sean Gunn is doing the mocap and the voice for Weasel, who is like, Sean Gunn also did the mocap for Rocket Raccoon.
I'm sure it's 100% like a goof on it.
And Weasel is just 100% like, yeah, it's Rocket Raccoon, except for we made him like really gross.
He has rabies.
He's gross and dumb.
I have one question for you guys, because you guys seem more familiar with the comics. What is something that you kind of hope shows up, whether it's like a big storyline or like a small thing or like an Easter egg that you kind of hope shows up in the movie?
Suicide Squad?
Yeah.
It's not really a comic like that, because it literally is like an ensemble comic where they just like kill people off every once in a while. Like they don't ever do too much. Like the fact that Starro is even in it is mind blowing to me.
I really wish Enchantress would show up again, but like she has like her
comic
the comics costume with her with a big green hat. Like, God, that costume is so cool.
Only if they have her like in a full on relationship with Killer Croc, like she did in the comics.
Oh, so here's like another thing I actually did not actually realize about Peacemaker is that Peacemaker was originally a Charleston character.
Oh, really? From like where the Question Is and Blue Beetle?
Yeah. Do you know who his analog is
Captain
in Watchmen? Because the Watchmen was basically,
yeah. What would be his?
He's the comedian.
No.
What?
Like when Alan Moore wanted to write Watchmen and use all those Charlton characters, and DC were like, no, because Captain Atom is the
is Dr. Manhattan, and Owl is Blue Beetle, and and Rorschach is the Question.
Yeah, like
it kind of makes sense.
The comedian analog is the Peacemaker.
Because he is kind of like the Peacemaker is like kind of like a crazy right wing Captain America. And
I don't think he's quite John Walker. I think he's just like I do not know like a whole lot of history about the Peacemaker, but like I do know like he has like a very fraught relationship with his dad, and that's like a whole thing. But like his whole thing is like he wants to like imbue like peace and justice everywhere, but like he'll go at any lengths for the peace and justice.
This is like I just looked at the thing, and it's ridiculous. Like he's a pacifist diplomat, so committed to peace that he's willing to use force as a superhero to advance peace.
Yeah.
So he's a complete contradiction. But it says he uses non-lethal weapons, so it'll be interesting to see if the movie plays on that or not.
Do you guys think
Smith later learns that his peace through violence efforts were the result of a serious mental illness brought on by the shame of having a Nazi death camp commandant for a father. He believes his father's spirit haunts him continually and criticizes his every move, even as he tries to live down his path.
How the fuck are they gonna? There's almost no way they're addressing any of that in this, unless it's like some weird other version. Like I could see them maybe doing like he had a sibling who did some fucked up shit in like Iraq or something, if they even touch that. Apparently the last time he showed up in comics was in like a one shot, like he's in panel in like a spot in Doomsday Clock. I've done a Peacemaker himself. He's just untouched. So to stick with the DC movie stuff, it's kind of interesting casting, but like they cast one, I'm surprised this movie is still in existence, but they cast Pierce Brosnan as
Dr.
Fate. It's
Are we gonna see his face for a lot of it? Because that's.
I'm wondering. I kind of hope he's just playing Naboo. Like he's just the voice of the helmet.
Mm-hmm.
I think that would be really fun. Because like I looked at it and like Helen Mirren's in it, but she's a character. So she's playing the villain. But from what I like, her character is not a comic book character. Like it's a mythological character.
So these are for different films. So it looks like they're doing he's going to be part of the JSA that's going to be in the Black Adam movie.
Yes, that's what I was referring to. Yeah.
All right, and then Helen Mirren, but then Helen Mirren is going to be the villain for Shazam: Fury of the Gods.
Oh, okay. I thought they were in the same movie. Okay.
No, so the casting I have up here are like three different castings for three different films. So like, so first off, so Brosnan's going to play Dr. Fate, and he's going to be part of the JSA, along with Adis Hodge as Hawkman, Noah Centino as Atom Smasher, Quintessa Swindell as Cyclone, and Marwan Kenzari is in an unknown role.
I have no idea who any of those people are.
Can I say that I like that the only white person in this movie will hopefully have his face covered the whole time, as with Pierce Brosnan. Like, I guess it sounds a little gross when I say it, but like a lot of people are people of color as a JSA except for Pierce Brosnan, and he presumably will have his face covered the whole time. And I think that's kind of cool.
Yeah. I imagine if you looked at the JSA, like you could probably also like look at like who because Marwan Kenzari played Jafar in the Aladdin movie from a couple years ago, but like it's like there's already like there's not a whole lot of JSA people left that you could pick up and play, so it's like he could be Sandman or like the old Sandman. He could be like Wildcat. He could be there's like a handful of like other kind of character like Red Tornado. Even though Red Tornado fucking sucks.
The guy playing Hawkman, I recognize him like a ton of stuff. I just didn't know his name.
He was from what was that one TV show like Forger or
Leverage? I saw he was in. Yeah,
and he was in NWA. He was MC Ren.
Oh my god, who is Noah? The guy playing Atom Smasher is in one of the. He's in so many shitty shows that my wife watches because he's in like all those young adult movies. Like Sierra Burgess is a loser. To All the Boys I Love. To All the Boys I Love Too. P.S. I Still Love You. The Perfect Date. He was like in all those like Disney family things. Quintessa Swindell. I don't recognize her at all. But it's interesting. If they're trying to modernize it, like it makes sense for them. Like Carter Hall could be anybody. Like he fucking gets reborn all the time. So
Pierce Brosnan's the second Bond to be in a DC product because Timothy Dalton is now Calder.
Oh yeah, that is right. Yeah, I keep forgetting that. I was like, oh, what did anybody else do? No, I kind of would want him to just be Naboo though, like to just be the helmet, and for the helmet to come off and it's somebody else. Yeah. I don't know if I want it to be. I would prefer it's Nelson. Was it?
Well, then you would have to have this. Then you would have to have the person who plays like, the actual like Dr. Fate to be like a big reveal. Like,
yeah, well, that's what I think. It would be really fun if they did that, and if it was like, and then to introduce Khaled is the second Dr. Fate in the movie would be fun. As him getting the helmet, and then you could keep Pierce around. But like, not you can lose the other cameo character. Who'd be because what is it's Kent Nelson, right?
Yeah,
somebody who would be good in my mind would be like what do you call it? Luke Skywalker. Mark Hamill would be really fun as a reveal under the helmet.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because Kent Nelson's supposed to just be like some schlubby dude. Like he's just like it fell into his hands and he just has had it forever.
I do not know a whole lot about Dr. Fate. I know that he has a bunch of magical artifacts that make up like a lot of his costume. He's essentially kind of like the Doctor Strange analog for like the DC verse.
Yeah, but he's more like so the helmet contains the spirit of Naboo, who is like the world's first sorcerer. And so when he puts on the helmet of fate, that personality takes over. And like
The-
under
the
the
most-
helmet is a different person.
The most I know from Dr. Fate is from the Young Justice cartoons, and I started rewatching it recently. And yeah, like they go to the part where they show up with Kent Nelson. He's like, I haven't put it on in 60 years because it's kind of dangerous, but I'll put it on
takes
again.
over. Like you have to basically trick the Naboo to remove it, because once you put it on, you lose all. Like you're not in control.
Yeah,
Which is like
Naboo's
a lot of like those magic based DC heroes like Jason
Mhm.
Blood. Jason Blood has like the same thing with when he becomes like the demon.
Oh yeah, well he isn't the demon. He just swaps places with Etrigan.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. There is definitely. It's kind of like I was trying to think of like another character. It's like, but it's like another. It's like a symbiotic relationship, but it's like very one way. Where like the helmet just needs like a host, but it's like the most powerful thing. And also Naboo is a giant piece of shit. Like he's an asshole. Because he's like the Lord of Order. So like he will do shitty things because it serves like order and not chaos.
yeah. He does a little bit of that in the Young Justice, where he's all like, I don't care.
He's like opposite of Wanda Maximoff. Like also shitty, but for like opposite reasons. Like he's super control freak. I guess we could see with all those other like kind of Invincible came out. We haven't. I haven't watched it.
Well, so also Helen Mirren's going to be playing the villain.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry, I forgot.
In Shazam: Fury of the Gods. It's kind of like all we kind of know about that.
Yeah, her character is not a comic character; it's just a mythological character.
And then
then
Ron Livingston will join the Flash movie, taking over the role of Henry Allen, Barry's dad. An uncredited crude-up was seen in Zack Snyder's Justice League in the role, but scheduling conflicts with Apple TV's The Morning Show meant that he had to.
He does get way more time in the Snyder cut, and he's good, but like, who cares?
Ron Livingston played Peter from Office Space.
Yeah, he's from that and Friday Night Lights. I think are his like two big things, right?
I guess one final update for Black Adam is that I think like a few hours ago, The Rock announced the release date, which is July 22nd, 2022, which I think is a decade since he was announced as Black Adam.
Which who knows if that'll even hold? Because like, hopefully,
but
like everything can still get bumped back. Because didn't they announce this week that Black Widow's going to go to the Disney Plus like premiere stuff, right?
It's coming out in July, I believe.
I already talked about it. It's like, we'll just
Shang-Chi,
we'll just hang out and rent it. Like
$30
$30 is like awesome if you're like. It would be 4 people, like just them. And it's like, oh, well, come over too, and then that's great.
Yeah, and I haven't taken the bait yet on spending $30 on any of those Disney Plus films, but I spent $30 on Birds of Prey.
Like if you have like 2 people, it's basically the same price as going to the movies.
So the last thing I want to say about The Flash is that Andy Muschietti is still directing this, which I think is kind of funny because I feel like every time I hear about Flash casting news, it's always like a different director. So it's like, they still have the same director. Andy Muschietti is like still, well, you know, and Andy Muschietti really does need like a win after Part 2 kind of didn't stick the landing. But like the script for the movie is going to be done by Birds of Prey's Christina Hodson, and I know like some people don't really like that movie. I really love Birds of Prey, so
yeah, I'll probably do because I've never seen the first Suicide Squad. I'll probably do that in Birds of Prey right before the next one.
Haven't?
No, but right before Suicide Squad comes out.
You haven't seen that first Suicide Squad movie?
God.
No, why would I subject myself? I didn't see all those X-Men films until we watched the other one.
We do not have to record for it, but like we absolutely have to have a watch party for that first Suicide Squad movie.
Okay.
Yeah. Like, are we doing do the director's cut?
Yeah, I'll do if that's what's on HBO Max or whatever. I'll watch whatever's on there.
Why don't we fucking just wait for the air cut?
Oh god.
Fuck off. There's not like honestly, like there like I get it with the Zack Snyder cut. Like there could have been something there. There's absolutely nothing that they could have done to fix Suicide Squad. And I know they couldn't have fixed Suicide Squad because I saw that guy's follow-up in Bright, and Bright is just as bad as Suicide Squad.
Yeah, the only thing that from what I know that they
all
should
the same ways
that like they took out that like is goofy is like they made Joker and Harley's relationship not as bad. Is like from what
I
I've heard,
mean,
like it's not overtly abusive.
It's still not great, and he still does not need to be in there because that movie is already like it's like funny that like I'm like saying this like as like the Suicide Squad movie has like double the cast. Like the Suicide Squad movie already has like a very bloated cast because they don't really know what to do with the characters that they end up throwing in there. Like they have Slipknot part of the team, and his whole thing is like he does knots and then he's dead. Spoiler.
he can climb any building.
He can climb. That's his power. Like it's like literally that's all they like say about him.
He can climb. Okay.
And also, he hates women.
Ah.
But yeah, that's DC news.
So yeah, to go on the other stuff that like I guess came out. Invincible came out. The first 3 episodes on Amazon. None of us. I don't think any of us have watched an episode.
No.
You've seen
No.
clips, Tyler, but like I will check it out. I have never read the book, Kirkman's book. I'm glad that there's like adult animation.
Sure. I haven't like read a whole lot of the comic, but I know like a lot of the comic, and I've like seen pages and like and I've read like whole issues before. And that book gets like kind of like really gross in its action, and it's like but it's great. Like it's really well drawn, super visceral, but like there's like something so completely different than like seeing a page and then like watching a show where it happens. And I've said on the show when like that first trailer came out where like it looked a little cheap, and I still think that show does still kind of look a little cheap for like the money that Amazon has. But like you could tell like they kind of like really do put like a lot of the effort into the fights, and the big fight that I saw that was like making the rounds on Twitter was just like the sound design is just super like does like so much heavy lifting because it's like you just feel like every hit, like every gong, like everything just feels like such like a mass like adds like 1,000 pounds of weight to like every like action.
Well, that I'm looking at the cast list. Like that's where they spent their money. Like
Yeah,
from the top down, it's like Sandra Oh, J.K. Stevens, Stephen Yeun, and then you get to like Jillian Jacobs, Jason Mantzoukas, just Zachary Quinto, Mark Hamill, Seth Rogen.
It's like a handful of Comedy Bang Bang people.
Yeah, Mae Whitman, Clancy Brown, Nicole Byer, Fred Tacitor, Mahershala Ali, John Hamm, Ezra Miller, Jamin Hansu.
But basically, I just wanted to say like I watch like horror films, and like I've seen like a good chunk of body horror. Like there's like shit in that fight that last fight scene that's just super gross, super visceral, like made me like kind of like made me wince like while watching it, and I was just like, man, like I don't know if I can fucking watch this, like because it's like not even like a Mortal Kombat where like Mortal Kombat's like it's like played for the goofiness, like even like watching the Suicide Squad where like King Shark rips a man in half like long ways, like there's like scenes in that Invincible like clip I saw that were just like it's like super horrific. Like, and I don't know if it's like going to be like for kind of like everyone, and like I might check it out like it once a couple episodes drop and see like kind of like how it is, but like yeah, that initial fight is like super rough.
I know that the first 9 volumes on Comixology Unlimited, whatever, and I'm on the 4th volume, I think. So I'm gonna read as far as that they have, and then I'll probably watch the rest of the show. And it's really cool. It's really fun. It's really unique for the time. Not that it doesn't hold up, but it is very much like this started in 2003. I think.
Yeah, it's like
right?
Yeah, it's like Robert Kirkman writing Spider-Man as Superman.
Yeah, and it's very entertaining. What I saw what the ending everyone was talking about, and like yeah, when I read that in the comic, I was like, huh, and I was like, okay, this is interesting.
Up on Comixology, do they also have the Invincible, the Marvel team up issue with Spider-Man and Invincible?
I don't think so. I did not see that. I don't know. I'm gonna check.
That's like a really funny comic. Like that's like the last, it's like kind of like the last real crossover book I remember Marvel publishing, where it's like, oh hey, here's Robert Kirkman's Invincible, and he's in like a Marvel team up issue with with Spider-Man because Robert Kirkman was still like writing Marvel comics at the time.
Oh, they're also having a sale from here until May, 50% off, and I guess you can get the 3 compendiums for
Digitally, I'm guessing, right?
yeah, digitally. You can get the 3 compendiums for like $18, and the last one is
I
$22.50.
feel like Amazon should have
So,
like been like, hey, why don't we redo those books and sell them on Amazon, like the actual hard copies?
are they hard to find?
I don't know. Let me check what their prices are on Amazon right now. Yeah, I don't know. It's there. I don't know. I'll check it out too. Like it's whatever. I don't know. What was the next thing we wanted to talk about?
So like I didn't read it,
I think it's just.
go ahead.
I think we're just talking about Cap and Winter Soldier. I think that's it. Unless is there anything else?
There's 3 quick things I kind of want to bring up, like real fast, and then we'll talk about Captain America and the Winter Soldier. Alien #1 came out this week from Marvel, and I just want to say that, like, going through comics for the week, it was very strange to see an Alien comic not with the Dark Horse logo on it, because
Alien as in like the movie
like
Alien,
Like Xenoverse or Xenomorph.
like the
Xenomorph,
the Xenomorphs, yeah. Like, it's like Dark Horse had been doing Alien comics for like a good 30 years, and it's just like, yep, they're like Aliens Marvel now. It's just like very strange, and then there was a new Humble Bundle that was announced or that was released.
Yeah, I saw that. It's like the best of Image.
The best year,
Boom.
the best year of Boom Studios. So it's like a lot of stuff they've released within the last year, and there's for like $25, and like Humble Bundle has like a tier, so you could spend as little as much as $1. You get a bunch of #1s, or you could spend as much as $25, and you get like a couple different volumes of a lot of different kind of stuff, like piggybacking on Invincible. If you like like darkish retellings of superhero stuff, you can get the complete Irredeemable through this bundle for in the $25.
Yeah, plus a whole bunch of other stuff. That's the one I was like, I haven't read that. And I've heard so much.
Yeah, and I think this is just Irredeemable. Like I read more Incorruptible than I did Irredeemable, which Incorruptible was about the supervillain becoming a good guy. And I remember liking it at the time, but it's been like so long since I've read any of that shit. But yeah, some of the other stuff is like the first 2 volumes of Once and Future by Kieran Gillian, Something is Killing the Children by James Tynion, Brian Azarella's Faithless, the second volume of Heavy Vinyl, which I really love that first volume of, the Quotable Giant Days, which is just full of like really neat quotes from Giant Days, volume 4 of Fences, which is like a really fun all ages comic about fencing.
I've only heard good things about these comics, so if anyone's listening and I guess it sounds like a good deal.
Yeah, and I think Boom Studios, I kind of feel like is doing the kind of work that Image was doing, a couple of years ago. Like,
yeah, I think that's why I mixed them up, because I've read a couple of really good Boom Studio stuff recently, and I'm trying to remember which ones they were.
I mean, like, they were doing Giant Days for like the longest time. They were also doing, oh my god, the other book I really loved from John Allison. But yeah, like they were doing the Power Rangers comics. They're currently the ones that are publishing Buffy. They have like a lot of really cool create your own stuff for kids. They were doing the Adventure Time comics for years. Yeah, it's just like a lot of like pretty cool
they've been
stuff.
doing. Did you say like the Power Rangers book?
Yeah.
They've done Claus, which is the Grant Morrison Santa Claus book.
Yep.
I'm trying to look and see. I feel like there's like another big one of theirs that like I have read.
But yeah, I think Boom Studios is like really cool, and like I was kind of like thinking about the other day, like Image, like for a line that was so strong, like even like 5 years ago, is like I feel like kind of like lost a lot of its shine, and I couldn't tell you why. Because I still think they're doing like pretty okay books, but like that company really needs like Saga to come back, or like a big kind of like megaton book again. Because I feel like Boom Studios has kind of taken away like a lot of its like really cool original series, licensed comics, stuff for
Yeah,
kids.
because they did an amazing. I think I own, or I did. I don't know if I sold it. That was it. Alien 3 book they did based on the original script,
Mm-hmm.
and they did that, and that was fantastic. Like I loved what they did with that.
Yeah,
I
I
believe
listened to
I
the.
believe that's Dark Horse.
Was that Dark Horse?
Yep.
God damn it!
They did the audiobook with the old not Sean Bean, Michael Bean, and the guy who plays the android. I forget his
Bishop,
name.
the guy who plays
Yeah,
Bishop.
yeah, like they had them both come back like in 2019 to do the audiobook, and I listened to it, and I was like, damn, this would have been real cool, especially for like the ending of what they set up.
But yeah, that Humble Bundle will be up for the next 2 weeks or 17 days. So it's like you got some time, but like if you want to read like a lot of really cool comics for $25, like you get a lot there. The last thing I wanted to talk about before Falcon and the Winter Soldier is the kind of probably the biggest comic news of the week is that Marvel is dropping Diamond and moving in with Random House as their distributor.
I feel like DC did this like in the beginning of the pandemic, right? Like last summer.
They did this about a year ago.
Yeah, so like, is this the death knell of of Diamond?
I don't like. So there's like a lot of people online, like I think like a lot of older people who think this is like the death knell for like independent comics, and I don't actually buy it. Like I think there's like some people who were like, they're like, oh, so now do comic shops have to be in competition with bookstores now? And I'm like, buddy, like I hate to break it to you, but comic shops have been in competition with bookstores since the beginning. So like none of that's really going to change. Like, are there going to be like probably exclusive covers and like trade covers that are only going to be at like Barnes and Noble and stuff? Possibly, but like Image already does that shit. Like I got a volume of Snot Girl that you could with a cover that you could only get at Barnes and Noble, and it's like, but I buy all my single issues at my local comic store. Like I buy 2 of them because I got they released 2 covers. I get both of them because I'm that much of a Brian Lee O'Malley guy. But I think what's nice about Marvel and DC like leaving Diamond as like a reader personally. I think like the last year has been kind of hard for me to follow what's going on in DC because Previews Magazine is like how I know what's coming out. That's how I like market my budget of what I'm buying, and so I know not to buy too much. And with DC being gone, like I kind of forget like what DC books are coming out. Like I know because like my comic shop like will put up like the week's list of what's out that week, but I don't know like 3 months ahead of time unless like I remember to look up their solicitation that they like put out themselves. And I kind of feel like the same way it's going to be with Marvel now. Like there'll be some Marvel series I still follow, but for the most part, like I kind of feel like unless I don't like see it like being advertised to me, like I probably won't find it. I think this is, if anything, I think this is like really great for for your Images, for your Boom Studios, for your Dark Horses, especially like your manga industries. It's like I currently work in that like manga being like this huge blossoming like industry that comic shops are finally starting to see that the value of like having a good manga library in their stores. And I feel like having the big 2 like out of this book like will have like comic shops focus on getting like these independent like works like into their store, because trades like a good store like has a great trade program, like and that's the only, like, unless you're like a store that really cradles to like old hardcore readers that are all about like the backlogs, like that's not how you like survive as a store. I feel like the way you survive as a store is through trades and getting
if you survive to this point, which my local place I don't even know. I didn't realize I was on mute. I was gonna say you actually reminded me of something with talking about the manga. Do you know what I see going into work when I look into when I walk through my high school's library?
My Hero Academia.
I don't see any trades of comic books. I see
Really?
2 different rows of manga.
Yeah,
Huh.
Like full row. Like they have like hundreds of trades of manga.
because manga, like, you know, it's a different medium, and I know that like Marvel and DC are really trying to like figure out like how to gain like these new readers. But you know why like Saga is such a big juggernaut of a comic for Image? Because it's one story. And like if I want to
yeah.
read Saga, it's like, where do I start with Saga? Read Saga Volume 1, and then you read Volume 2.
Well, I
And
was
like
gonna say, I think the other part of it is like the way manga, like they're broken up into sagas. Like you could like there are specific like story breakpoints, but it's still one giant story.
Yeah.
And like comics don't work manga works like kind of like a TV show in seasons.
Like
Yeah.
One Piece has been going on since 1999, and like, yeah, sure, One Piece is super long. It's the meme. It is like a 1,000-chapter book. But guess what? You know how you start on One Piece? You read Volume 1 of One Piece, and then you read all the way through. Like, you don't have to pick up like any side books. It doesn't do its own, like, there's no crossovers. That doesn't go into events. And I like events, and I like crossovers. But like Miss Marvel at Marvel Comics was such a huge cultural and sales juggernaut for Marvel. And those trades, like those first couple trades for Miss Marvel, like you could not keep them on the shelf because they were selling so well. And then Civil War II happened. And then like the book like went into Civil War II, and then people are like, well, like, wait, do I have to read Civil War II? And already at that point, you lost like 30% of your customers.
Okay, can I just say from personal experience, people were like, "Oh, you should read Miss Marvel too, Miss Marvel," and I was like, "All right, cool, I'll check it out." And literally, I got to the part where they start doing the Civil War stuff, and I was like, "What is going on? I don't want to read these other fucking books. I just want to read Kamala." And I literally dropped off, and I have no idea what happens after that.
And it happens all the time. like to this day, the single worst thing that Marvel had done to Captain Marvel as a book was like it was like they were releasing that book at a time where they just had the biggest boner about like a book doesn't go past 12 issues. If it goes past 12 issues, you restart the book with a new number 1. So it got to the point that Captain Marvel, by the time like the Captain Marvel movie came out, had like 5 new number 1s. Like over the span of like about 5 years. So even when you're reading it in trades, it would be like Volume 1, Volume 2, Captain Marvel, and then be like Captain Marvel, number 1, number 2, and then the Mighty Captain Marvel, number 1, number 2, and then it's like, but it's like where like there's like no timestamp on the sides of the book. Like unless you open it up and then you look at like the watermark of like when this comic was published, but at that point you're asking your customer to do the job of like figuring out the timeline of where the events take place when it should be the company doing that for its customers. But you know, I'm sorry, it's like it's a whole thing I have about like comics need to be as customer friendly as possible, and the manga industry does a great job at it. Like independent companies do such a great job of it. Like Marvel and DC kind of don't, and they need to do a better job. Like DC, like I'll give them this. Brian Michael Bendis started on Justice League last week, and he started on issue 49. So that book is still continuing, and it's like all you have to do is like pick up this volume of Justice League if you want to start reading Brian Michael Bendis' run.
Can I say one thing though on that? Like, what was it? Future State was the thing that they just had end.
Yes,
that was a really good time for me to drop a lot of books.
Yep. No, yep, exactly.
Yeah.
You know,
I forgot about the DC books I was reading because I was like, I'll catch up on. I started reading old shit, and I was like, I'm enjoying reading old shit.
Yep. No, and you're like completely right. Like, I kind of want to pick up Batman, but like, I'm also at the point I'm like, God, man, I've read a lot of Batman in my years. It's like, do I really want to read Batman right now? But like, you know, like, but at the same time, because like I pick up like I have like the Shonen Jump app. It's $2 a month. I get like new chapters of One Piece and Spy Family and My Hero Academia for $2.
Ooh,
And
you're
it's like,
selling me
Did
on
you-
this app.
and it's like, why
Yeah,
would
it's
I?
pretty good. It's really good.
It's like,
And you can
why?
go back to other series. Like I
Yeah.
just finished Jujutsu Kaisen, and
Because
it's
I
real
actually,
good.
yeah, I literally just saw your post about that, and I've seen a lot about Jujutsu Kaisen.
Why don't you
Because
give
I've
it a
been
like, homie?
watching, being in school, like with kids again. Like I was like, oh, I'm like, what are you guys watching? A couple kids in the anime, and like everyone said Black Clover. I think I'm on like episode 60 of Black Clover now.
Yeah.
In like 2
Give a
weeks.
shit about Black Clover. But if I want to read Black Clover, there's 287 chapters of Black Clover I could read.
Yeah. Oh, but I'm just like, oh, like, and like I've liked playing with the Funimation app. I've actually been using the Marvel Unlimited because like I'm just reading old issues. I'm literally like I've read from, I don't remember what the first part is, but like basically when like Cyclops becoming a dick or whatever, to I'm like up to Avengers or X-Men versus Inhumans.
Uh-huh.
And like I've enjoyed reading it this way. I just want to rip through this shit. And not deal with it. And then I read like my couple of X-Men books. And I've been buying way too many omnibuses and haven't been reading them yet.
Yeah.
I did want to talk about a
a
new comic that I did read, which is I read that Keanu book, Berserker.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm guessing Keanu's a comic book fan.
Which is also a Boom Studio book.
Yes. I'm guessing he's a fan of 80s and early 90s comic books. It's very 90s comic book. There's some sprinkles of stuff that are interesting, but it very much reminds me of like 90s, maybe some early 2000s, like Wolverine kind of stuff. Cause it's like, I don't, it's very violent and it's very graphic. Yeah, that's kind of about the summary of the plot too.
isn't Netflix gonna do something with it?
Yeah, Netflix or like one issue came out, they bought the rights to do a live action and an anime. Which I would say as an anime, this would work. Like,
Yeah.
because it's very like the style and the story works. Did you read it, Siler?
I did not, because like I just basically like saw Keanu Reeves putting out a comic and just kind of smelled a lot of just like this is a comic to be made to
Make a
made-
movie.
make a movie.
And okay, I'll give you a very simple synopsis. Our guy, I don't remember his name because who gives a shit. Looks like Keanu Reeves, as you can see in the picture, and he basically gets sent into military situations because he's unkillable. But he heals slowly, so like that's where it's like very Wolverine, but he murders shit a lot, but he also doesn't have all of his memories very Wolverine like it's very Wolverine, except maybe he's a god and he doesn't know where he comes from and they're working with him, but he's been around based on some of the things that he said for like thousands of years.
Mhm.
So it's like if Wolverine, or no, what's the DC character? Like I was there. The bad guy who lives forever.
Oh,
Vandal Savage.
It's like if Vandal Savage went Wolverine. Like that's this book. So
So he's basically just Wolverine.
yeah, but like he's been around longer. Like it has a little bit of that powers thing, but not as fun. Of like he's been around for forever. Maybe he's a god.
If I was honestly, I saw Berserker and I was like, man, if I was a smarter comic book reader, I would just buy like all the variant copies and just sit on them for about 5 years and then just sell them all. But I'm like, I am like not about that life.
Yeah, I don't care enough.
I-
I do that for